there, and welcome to Cooking with Saucy Sean's Fine Eats, where we make real food for real people. In this episode, we're going to make a cheesecake. Now this is going to be an Amarula cheesecake, a little bit of chocolate as well. If you don't know what Amarula is, there's a cream liqueur that is from Africa. It's from the marula tree in Africa. It's flavored by elephants. When you read it, you'll read flavored by elephants, but it actually says favored by elephants. It's just got a nice light flavor, a little bit of cocoa for chocolate flavor. It's a baked cheesecake. Now, the basic recipe, actually, what I started using, comes right off the Philadelphia cream cheese box for their classic Philadelphia cheesecake. I, of course, modify it because that's what I do. So we're going to just start with it here. So we need a cup and a quarter of graham crumbs. This is going to be for the crust. There's a cup, and that's about a quarter of a cup. So there's a cup and a quarter, about a quarter cup of melted butter. I just melted the butter in the microwave. And we're going to stir that all up. So we'll get the crust made. We're going to bake the crust at 350 degrees for 10 minutes while we're getting the rest of the ingredients for the cake ready. Just helps get the crust a little bit more solid. We're using a 9-inch springform cake pan, and if you follow through, you'll see what's special about it. Basically, the sides pop off of it. We're going to pat down the buttery crumbs. Cheesecakes are great because you can flavor them so many ways. You can make it a plain cheesecake with a little bit of vanilla in it and put berries over top of it, or a chocolate sauce over top of it. You can make a chocolate cheesecake. You can make Irish cream cheesecake. I made a key lime cheesecake last year. That was really good. Really good, actually. No, it wasn't key lime. It was mojito is the flavor it was. That's right. It was so good. Oh, there's all sorts of flavor combinations you can make. This is just going to be a pretty simple one. So I got the crumbs all patted down and throw it in the oven for 10 minutes while we're making the fill-in for the cheesecake. Okay, for the fill-in for the cheesecake, we're going to be using the beast of a mixer. This is one recipe where you actually have to use a mixer. We're going to use 3 8-ounce, 250-gram packages of cream cheese. Or you could buy a really big log and use a third of it. Yes, you can. And you know, again, this is one of those recipes where if you don't have a springform pan, and all you have is a regular cake pan, you can use it, because you can still eat it. It's not going to look the same. It's just something that's still going to taste good. A little bit harder to get the first piece out, and after that, you're good to go. So don't feel limited by lack of fancy pans. Just figure out how to make do with them. I've had to do that many times. Heck, there was one time I was making cinnamon buns. They were going to be for a Cub Car rally. We were going to sell them in our concession. And I forgot to have a rolling pin, which is kind of needed. So I looked around, thought about what I had, and took a can of Coke and cleaned it up really well, and used it to roll out my cinnamon buns. And it worked out fine. So to the cream cheese, the 3 things of cream cheese, we're going to mix in 3 eggs and then some other flavoring. This one just doesn't want to open. I don't know what's with that. There we go. We got our 3 packages of cream cheese in there. We're going to turn the mixer on, put in 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and beat them until well combined. Now that the sugar and the cream cheese are combined up in there, we're going to add the eggs one at a time and mix them. Just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl because it gets stuck on there. We're going to add a cup of Amarula. For this one, I'm going to add in about a half cup of cocoa powder. It's going to be really good. And we're going to mix that together. I'm just going to stop, scrape down the sides of the bowl. I just like to give it a good beating so that we get rid of all the lumps and mix everything together well. We can take it off the mixer, scrape off the paddle, and be ready for the crust when it comes out of the oven. Now, you want your oven at 350 for this little project. It's going to be in the oven for 350 for 45 minutes. Then we're going to turn the oven off and let it sit in there for another 15 minutes, and then we'll take it out, cool it, and then we'll get it into the fridge so it really gets cool. Then we can ice it. Cheesecake, you can serve it hot or cold. It's actually a little bit better if it's not hot. You want it all cooled and set and everything, but you can actually serve it at room temperature and it actually tastes a little bit better, brings up the flavor. But you definitely don't want to store it at room temperature. You want to keep it refrigerated to store. So we've got 4 minutes left on that crust and we'll be right back at you. Okay, so we've got our cake pan, we've got our crust, we've got our filling. We're just going to pour it in. It's a little bit lumpier than I like. I guess I could have mixed it a little bit more. It actually really helps to have your cream cheese at room temperature, and somebody keeps forgetting to take stuff out of the fridge and on time for these shoots. That would probably be me. But I actually don't mind that because it helps me to explain to you, as you hear me say many times, you can still eat it. It's going to be just as good. It doesn't have to look like the picture in a magazine or on a billboard or on the TV or even on the internet. You just want something that's going to be good, that you can be proud of. I can be proud of this because the taste is there. So we just pour it in, put it in the oven 350 degrees for 45 minutes, set my timer. When that goes off, I turn the oven off, I set the timer for 15 more minutes, and then I take it out. Okay, so here we have our cheesecake out of the oven. It was in the oven at 350 for 45 minutes. Turn the oven off, another 15 minutes in the oven. It's come out like this. It's cracked a bit. That's okay because we're going to ice it. So what we're going to do is just put this aside, let it cool, throw it in the fridge for a bit. When it's cold enough, we'll put some icing on it, and then we can get ready to serve it. Hi there. So we got our cheesecake out of the oven. It's cooled down. We're going to make the icing for it. And we're going to do it's kind of a custom recipe. I don't really have a recipe, so it's kind of hard. So I'm trying to make sure I get measurements for you. I'm going to start with just a pinch of salt, half cup of butter, half cup of soft cream cheese, and then we're going to blend into that 1 cup at a time, up 6 to 8 cups of icing sugar, also known as confection sugar. Okay, I'm just going to start blending that in a cup at a time, and I'll just start right now with the half cup of cocoa powder, because we're going to make this chocolate, and I should measure about a teaspoon of vanilla, liquid gold. So we're just going to start blending her up, and you can watch what happens. As we make this, we're also going to be adding in up to about 4 tablespoons of cold water, or you could do milk or cream. I'm just going to do cold water because it's right here. That's going to start with a couple now. I probably should have beat the cream cheese and the butter before adding the sugar, but let's try to take a shortcut. You'll still be able to eat it. We're at 6 tablespoons there, or not tablespoons, 6 cups of sugar, and it's thick to almost the right consistency. So I'm just going to add a little bit more water, 2 more tablespoons of water, and see if that's where we want to be at. 1, 2. I think that's pretty much a good consistency for the icing. I'm just going to add a titch more water because I wanted it to be a little bit easier to spread. And there we go. Okay, there we got our icing all made. So the next step is going to be to get the cake ready to be iced. And then we'll shove her on there and make it look good so it doesn't look like a giant cow pie. Because it's chocolate after all. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. We're almost done our cheesecake. It's almost time to eat cheesecake. Okay, so we've got our icing made for our cheesecake. We've got our cheesecake cooled. We're going to remove it from the springform pan by opening up the little lever over here. Popping it out the hole. That's not very thick. And we're going to take, and so it's still attached to the bottom. And we're going to take and just get a spatula under the crust all the way around. Slide out the pan. There we go. There we have our cheesecake. Didn't need that knife. Now we're going to put our icing on it. I am not the decorative icing person. I have to tell you, I do my best, but it is not my real skill in life being decorative. And I do like lots of icing, if you didn't notice, by the way. Probably too much today.
No.
Sarah always would say no. So we're just going to ice that up nicely. And you don't have to even ice a cheesecake. You can just cover it with fruit or a chocolate sauce or a caramel sauce or a fruit syrup or something. So the icing is kind of almost optional. And it really depends what kind of cheesecake you made too. This one's going to be good with that Amarula in it. Normally my cheesecakes are a bit higher. It's like this one really sunk. There we go. We have cheesecake. Now, when you serve this, do not want to serve huge pieces. So really, a piece like about that is probably a decent serving size. Okay, Sarah, give it a try.
It's yummy.
Yeah. So you can see when I cut it that there's some areas where the cream cheese didn't actually mix in properly. You can still eat it, right?
There's little white spots here.
Yeah. But, as I like to say, you can still eat it.
It doesn't affect the flavor at all.
That's really good. Thank you for watching us. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope that you try cheesecake sometime if you've never done one. So if you don't have a fancy springform pan, don't worry about it. Use a regular cake pan. It's okay. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You know what to do. Please do it. Share this video. It really helps us. Have a great day.